In case people don't know what oxalates, lectins and oxalates are, they're found in plants, and some plants have very high amounts of them, like kale and spinach that we just talked about, and also nightshade. So tomatoes, red peppers. Now, the reason why they're in these plants is because evolutionarily, these plants needed to protect themselves from bugs and predators, animals, and there's sharp proteins that puncture your stomach lining, your lining, stomach lining, and the animals.
Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Jen. Welcome back to the podcast. So stay tuned because we are going to be talking about something you can take and eat that will really impact your health and your mitochondria, and you might not even know about it. So today we're talking to Catharine Arnston. She is a PhD, MBA, BA, and she is the founder and CEO and the chief scientific officer of ENERGYbits. So ENERGYbits it's algae tablets. So you're going to want to listen. So Catherine discovered algae 16 years ago after helping her younger sister recover from a breast cancer diagnosis. In the process, she learned that algae was one of the most nutrient-dense foods in the world, and its healing properties were documented in 100,000 studies. But none of this was known outside of Asia. So ENERGYbits was born to change this. Catherine's passion for algae is contagious, and her scientific depth allows her to explain algae's extensive healing powers with such simplicity and clarity. You'll quickly understand why it effortlessly nourishes your body. It restores your health and protects your children's health. Not bad for something that's been on Earth for 4 billion years. So welcome, Catherine. And I've met you in person. And yes, you are so excited about algae. It's contagious.
Yes, well, hopefully it's contagious. Well, it's a good thing to be contagious with your passion and enthusiasm. So, and it's great to see you again, Dr. Jen. I think we met a number of times at conferences. We both love helping people with things that are natural. So here we are. But there doesn't seem to be anybody else in the world that I'm aware of teaching people about algae nutrition. Most people think it's just pond scum that closes their favorite beach or messes up their aquarium. And I'm here to tell you it's completely opposite to that. And it's been endorsed by the United Nations as the answer to world hunger for 50 years. It's been endorsed by NASA as the most nutrient dense food in the world for 50 years. They feed it to the astronauts. So it's like, hey, how can all these international agencies know about something that's game changing for our health and we don't? So I'm here to spread the word.
Yeah, it's definitely a misunderstood product or, natural products. Well,
Yeah.
so, I mean, what first inspired you? Can you go in a little bit more about the personal history between you and algae?
Sure, I know, 'cause I tell people I didn't pick algae, it picked me. I am Canadian, as I mentioned earlier, although I've lived in the United States for 37 years, mostly in Boston. I recently relocated to Miami. But, about 17 years ago, and I have 2 sisters, and all my family's still in Canada, including my sisters. 17 years ago, my younger sister, I'm very close to, got a breast cancer diagnosis. She was in her early 40s, was very healthy, had 2 young children. I mean, it was out of the blue. We were stunned. She completely healed, by the way. But as she was preparing for her chemotherapy, her oncologist, which of course is a cancer specialist, told her to change her diet to an alkaline diet. Now, they didn't tell her what an alkaline diet was or why it was good for her. So my sister called me just because I love her and I'm a very good researcher. I've always been a good researcher. Knew nothing about nutrition, zero. I was doing international business. But I went online and anybody could go online and you could Google alkaline diets. And it turned out that 2 things I found. An alkaline diet was important because of the chlorophyll and the phytonutrients that have been proven to build your immune system. And I was going through chemo, so her oncologist wanted her to have a strong immune system. But what I also discovered is that there was a German scientist back in the 30s who won a Nobel Prize. His name is Otto Warburg. Won a Nobel Prize for discovering that cancer cannot exist in cells that are slightly alkaline, and it ranges from 0 to 14. And so I have to believe this was the other reason why my sister's oncologist wanted her to have an alkaline diet was to prevent the cancer from spreading into other cells. So I found lots of foods for her. She changed her diet. She did go through chemo. She completely healed. Then this is 17 years ago, I started learning more about plant-based diets and the alkalinity profile of plants. And I thought, man, we should be talking about this, but nobody was. 17 years ago. They are now, of course, but 17 years ago they weren't. So I'm just a very action-oriented, passionate person. So I thought, I don't know what I can do, but I'm going to do something. So I went back to school. I got a health coaching certificate from a school in New York called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And I put a course together teaching plant-based nutrition that I gave for free at corporations and hospitals and gyms. And this is what truly led me to algae, because as I was giving my lectures, everyone was telling me, I know I'm supposed to eat more vegetables. My mother's been trying to get me to eat more vegetables since I was a kid, but they had all sorts of obstacles. Either they didn't live near a grocery store, or they didn't have time to cook them, or they gave them gas, or their children wouldn't eat them, or they went bad too quickly. So I thought, okay, I've seen the power of this green nutrition. If I can't get people to eat more vegetables, I need to find something that gives them the nutrition that doesn't taste bad, doesn't have any work, doesn't give them gas, blah, blah, blah. So I circled back to everything I found for my sister. And when I got to algae, that's when the miracle happened, because first of all, it's food. It's not a supplement. It's algae, and we'll talk about this. Algae is in the oceans and the lakes, but is harvested. Spirulina and Chlorella, which are the two algae we'll talk about today, they're harvested as agricultural crops in fresh water. So there's no contamination from the ocean. Also,
Mm.
it's a multi-billion-dollar agricultural crop in Asia. We grow ours in Taiwan. So it's nothing small. It's almost as big as the beef industry. It's been studied. It's the most studied food, spirulina and chlorella collectively. There are 100,000 studies documenting all the different health benefits, whether it's reducing inflammation, preventing Alzheimer's, preventing cancer, preventing heart disease, preventing autoimmune, removing toxins, endless. And the best part of all is that when you grow it as we do in fresh water and you air dry it as we do without high heat, and then we press them into tiny tablets. And if you swallow the tablet, there's no taste, zero. So if you don't like vegetables, you just have to swallow a handful of these. Now, I chew mine because I love the flavor, but this is the way you can give this to your children, to your newborns, to your pets, to your teenagers, to your grandparents, and every tablet, but they're about the size of a baby aspirin, if you're only listening, every tablet has the same nutrition as literally a pound of vegetables. So
Mm.
now, and they last 3 years, and they don't give you gas. In fact, spirulina, which we'll talk about in a minute, is actually a bacteria. It doesn't even have any fiber. So it's documented in science, endorsed by international agencies, used safely daily in Asia, is a whole food, and you swallow them, and there's no flavor. And even if you do chew them, it's just tastes green. That's about it. So when I learned all that, I just and nobody outside of Asia knew about any of the health benefits or that even existed. I thought, okay, I'm going to spend the rest of my life teaching people what algae is, why it's so important for us, and explaining it in terms that they can understand. And along the way, I did get my PhD because there was so much science behind all this. I needed to prove to myself that I knew I was talking about, and to others. So yes, then that was 17 years ago, and I'm still doing it.
As a physician, I'm always looking for nutrition that works at a cellular level. Microalgae like spirulina and chlorella are among the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, rich in protein, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants in a form your body can easily absorb. ENERGYbits makes it simple with pure microalgae tablets and nothing else. Spirulina supports energy and endurance, while chlorella helps with detox and recovery. Use code Dr. Jen for 20% off your first order. Yeah, that's amazing. I think that when I first learned about ENERGYbits, and I honestly I need to get better in the habit and just like put it on my counter, but I will actually eat them more, like just swallow them when I'm traveling, just
It's
to like give me a boost. And then my little one, when he was like 2 and 3, would just chew them and like his mouth would be all green.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
We have mothers sending us pictures. I have a grand nephew. His name is Cosmo. He's about a year, and he was getting sick all the time. He was getting colds, and his mother was getting colds, and then the whole family were getting colds. So I said, "Will you please let me send you some algae tablets?" So I've sent them bags and bags of spirulina and chlorella. This kid has not had a cold since he started taking these tablets every day. And they send me pictures of him drooling or videos drooling green. He calls them his greenies, and they have them for breakfast, lunch. It's unbelievable, and it makes me so happy. So, great for kids, absolutely. And mothers, you'll never have to worry about your children getting properly nourished because there's 40 vitamin more, but we document 40 vitamins and minerals in both the spirulina and chlorella. We'll talk about the different algae because they do completely different things in your body.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would love to go into detail. Well, one thing also, everyone is obsessed with like green smoothies. And what do they put in their green smoothies? Raw spinach, which is really high oxalate load.
I
And
know. Or
oxalates,
kale.
yes,
Please
and it's
stop eating kale and spinach.
cringy.
Oh, please,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, like, don't do that because it makes us like, whenever we see or whenever I see health influencers and they're jamming down spinach. Now, I'm not
Well,
gonna lie, I did this before I knew about oxalates,
yes,
like a decade ago. I was, like, jamming in, like, I think back and I cringe and I'm like, "Oh my goodness." And now I actually, I recommend algae products because they don't have oxalates, so you're getting
I
the
know.
benefits without the pokey little
Yes.
crystals. We don't want those.
Well, in case people don't know what oxalates, lectins and oxalates are, they're found in plants, and some plants have very high amounts of them, like kale and spinach that we just talked about, and also nightshade. So tomatoes, red peppers. Now, the reason why they're in these plants is because evolutionarily, these plants needed to protect themselves from bugs and predators, animals, and there's sharp proteins that puncture your lining, stomach lining, and the animals. So it upsets their tummies too. Now, algae started in the ocean, so it's never been a land plant. So it never had to develop lectins or oxalates to protect itself. So that's why they're not in the algae. So yeah, please stop eating kale. It is probably causing a lot of autoimmune issues. And there's 500 times more chlorophyll in algae than in arugula, and 1,000 times more than Chinese greens. So there's nothing with more chlorophyll and phytonutrients than algae. So it's very, very concentrated and has none of the downside. All the upside, none of the downside.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, my pet peeve, like I have some arugula right now in the fridge because I'm like, oh, that would be nice with some broccoli sprouts. And I'm like, but it's gonna go bad so fast. So this is nice for those that they need it. That's why I said I like using them with travel, and I just gave some to my brother-in-law and my nephew for camping. So just, think kind of outside the box, on how to get your greens and how to get them safely because yes, they are important, but high oxalate load is hard, lectins hard, so this kind of bypasses that. Now,
Yeah.
can you describe the two different kind of algae that you have really loved and are, in your company that are part of Energy?
Yes, well, I'll give you a little higher level overview first. So, algae is its own food category, and as you mentioned in my bio, spirulina, which is called a cyanobacteria, was the first life on Earth. Not just the first plant, but the first life. That was almost 4 billion years ago. And to put that in context, we've been on Earth for 200 million years. So algae way predates us, and actually, I could talk about it later on, but that spirulina cyanobacteria evolved to become our mitochondria, and it's all proven in science. And we're going to talk a little bit about mitochondria later because they are absolutely the most essential thing in your body because they generate all your cellular energy. So algae, first life on Earth, and it is its own food category because it's not technically a vegetable, definitely not an animal. So within algae as a food category, there are two subcategories, macroalgae and microalgae. Macroalgae is that stringy stuff that you see washing up on shore, also known as seaweed or dulse or kelp. And it's still good for you because it has high iodine and it has high fiber, but it literally has no nutrition. I used to buy bags of kelp noodles and there'd be like 5 calories in this huge bag because there was virtually no nutrition in it. Macroalgae, very stringy, high fiber, only in the ocean, only a couple strains, brown, red, green, and still good for you, but virtually no nutrition. Microalgae, which is what we're talking about today, is completely opposite. First of all, it's in the ocean, but it's also everywhere. It's in rivers, lakes, streams, soil, your aquarium, your swimming pool, and harvested as a food crop in Asia. I'm going to show you a picture of some of the algae farms. They're grown in fresh water. So just so you know what they are. So now microalgae is called microalgae because it's microscopic in size. You can't see this with your eye. I read in a book recently that you can get 1 million microalgae on the head of a pin. That's how tiny they are. So that's why when you consolidate them into these little tiny tablets that we do, you start to understand that each tablet has the equivalent nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. So microalgae can't see with your eye, constitute highest density of nutrition in the universe. That's why in the United Nations, we have a quote from them saying 1 gram of algae has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of fruits or vegetables, 1 to 1,000. So, and we sell them in large bags of 1,000 tablets, and we'll talk about this later on. But one bag of 1,000 tablets has the same nutrition as about 30 grocery carts of vegetables. Just imagine
Wow.
30 grocery carts of vegetables nutritionally right here in this bag. So very, very efficient nutrition. Now, within microalgae, there are thousands of strains. The most best known one is blue-green, and the other one is green. One example of blue-green algae is spirulina, and one example of a green algae is chlorella. And the reason I emphasize that spirulina and chlorella are just one strain is that you may sometimes read in the paper or online that there's a blue-green algae closing your favorite beach and it's toxic and to stay away. We're
Right.
not talking about spirulina. It's just another strain of blue-green algae. Spirulina is harvested as a food crop. It's like saying that there was a swamp with lots of toxins in the water. So you don't say, well, I'm going to stop drinking water. You just don't drink the swamp water, right? So don't worry about blue-green algae closing beaches. By the way, the reason why the algae showed up is because it's Mother Nature's cleanup crew.
Mm,
Algae kills bacteria and absorbs toxins. So yes, it is going to be toxic. So you do want to stay away from it. But it's there because there were toxins and bacteria that you couldn't see. So that's why the algae showed up. And it does the same thing in your body too. It's your cleanup crew. So spirulina is a blue-green algae. Chlorella is a green algae. And they do completely different things in your body. And you take them at different times for that reason. And maybe this would be a good time to go into that, if that works.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's really interesting, and I like how you said it's a cleanup crew, and I was seeing this, I was taking a walk in my neighborhood, and there's so many turkey vultures everywhere, and people get annoyed with them, but they're the cleanup crew. If there's dead animals or whatever on the side of the road, they're gonna clean it up. So, yay
Right.
for, God's design and nature, and, algae, I was gonna ask you, so do you still eat vegetables? Like, but just
Very limited because here's the thing, and we'll talk about this. Our food supply is so damaged. Our vegetables and fruits come from so far away now that when you harvest them within 24 hours, they lose 50% of their nutrition. Then they're stuck on ships and they in cargo ships, and then they go into warehouses, and then they go to the warehouse at the grocery store, and then they show up at your and they sit there for a couple of days. We are all, even if we're eating vegetables, we're getting fiber and we're getting calories and we're probably getting glyphosate because unless you eat organic, and even if you eat organic, there's going to be blow off from all of the crops that are sprayed with glyphosate. So when you go to a restaurant, I hardly ever eat vegetables or salads in restaurants anymore because they're not organic. And glyphosate there's tens, 100,000 cancer cases currently being processed in the courts suing Monsanto and Bayer for causing cancer, and they've already paid off like $10 billion. This stuff is evil. So, do I eat vegetables? I eat very limited vegetables. I eat fruit, and if most of the fruit I eat, although even with glyphosate, it penetrates the fruit, but I usually eat things that are covered, like oranges or bananas or pineapples. Those are and if I eat an apple, I peel it. So um, it's really unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. So,
it is.
and our 75% of the food Americans are eating is processed food. So not only is there zero nutrition in there, then it's also loaded with sugar and other pesticides and um, canola oil and seed oils. We are we're screwed. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just the flies killing us, literally.
Yeah, it's really, really it's really hard because it's like, well, and some people, the dirty dozen and whatever, but yeah, you're still getting toxins and it's like, why I like how you said, like, when you're eating vegetables right now, they're so void of nutrients that you're basically it's just bulking fiber. And it's like, well, at that point, I'll just take a fiber drink. It's really scary. It's hard. So I think that's important to, you know, and I think of energy bits almost as a supplement too. It's supplementing that the food out there is just not good. So your products, this algae, it's does not have glyphosate in it. And you were saying,
No, a
yeah,
zero.
and
And
it
we do
does, yes.
third-party lab tests here in the United States. We test for metals, we test for pesticides, we test for nutritionals, we test for mycotoxins. I have like 6 labs. It costs us like $50,000 a year to do all of our tests. We are the only company that I'm aware of that does this level of testing in America. You can go to Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and you can buy less expensive spirulina and chlorella tablets, but I can promise you they're all grown in China or India. They don't do testing. They use high heat to dry it because it's less expensive, so they have to get to market quickly. So in high heat deactivates enzymes and pigments. So it's like buying a car with no engine. Well, that's not going to work, is it? So if you want real nutrition, ours is the one that is fully loaded. It's got every accessory that you would possibly want, and it nourishes your body. So, and I know people think of these as supplements, but they're really food. They are a whole food. In fact, they're a raw food. They look like a supplement, but think of it as nuts. And that's why you wouldn't just have one tablet. You would have a handful. To fill nutritional gaps, you really need 10 of each one, and we'll talk about the different benefits. For correcting health conditions like preventing cancer, if you had cancer, or preventing heart disease, or you had heart disease, or if you have high blood pressure, or if you have autoimmune, or if you have digestive issues, or sleep issues, or brain fog, or lack of energy, you want closer to 30 a day because there's no upper limit. It's food. We fuel NHL teams, Olympic teams. Hockey players take 75 spirulina before a game because it gives them focus and energy on the ice. And then they take 75 of the chlorella, which we call it recovery bits after the game because it pulls out lactic acid as well as other things. So,
Cool.
and by the way, with 40 vitamins and minerals, so it has all your electrolytes, all your B vitamins. The only vitamin I will say it doesn't have very much of is vitamin C. So you would need to still take a vitamin C, but you can eliminate a multivitamin, a fish oil. Please stop taking fish oil. It's usually rancid by the time you get it. And where do you think the fish get the omega-3 from? Yes, they get it from algae and they consolidate it in their bodies, but our algae will never go rancid. In fact, it lasts 3 years.
Yeah.
So you can replace a multivitamin, a fish oil, a collagen powder. You do not need collagen powder. Algae has 18 of the 20 aminos, including the 9 your body can't make. So it's a complete protein. Collagen powder is missing tryptophan. So you can also replace CoQ10. There's so much chlorophyll in the algae that when you combine it with red light or sunlight, it recycles your CoQ10 molecule. So you can eliminate hundreds of dollars of supplements on your countertop. Almost everybody I know is taking anywhere from 5 to 25 supplements a day. And Dr. Jen, I take nothing,
Mm.
nothing. I take spirulina and chlorella every single day, and I have for the last 17 years. And I'm turning 70 this year. That's 70. I
Yeah, you
have
look
no
amazing.
medications. I have no health issues. I run a big company. I travel nonstop. I'm writing a book. It's going to be published in September. And I have great energy. I sleep well. I poop well. I just want everybody to have the same life.
Yeah.
Aging is natural. I'm telling you, this is what I'm writing about in my book. Declining is not. Somehow we have decided that as we get older, we're going to decline. That's because that's what we see. it doesn't have to be that way. Where are the role models of healthy 60 and 70-year-olds? Menopause is not a life sentence. It is not a jail term.
Mhm.
And we view it that way because we're told that this is what life has to offer us. And I'm saying we have another option. We have other choices, but you have to know what to do. And algae is a cornerstone, foundational food for women in particular, but for everybody. And you'll start to see your health change. I absolutely promise people. Absolutely 100% promise you.
Yeah, and I know you wanted to talk about mitochondria because part of healthy aging is having healthy mitochondria.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have so many insults thrown at us. So we do have to, we have to have weapons in our arsenal and tools in our toolbox. And this could be one of them. So how does algae help the mitochondria as we age?
Yes, well, I definitely wanna get there, but first I wanna explain the 2 different algae because they do
Hmm.
completely they do affect the mitochondria differently. So,
Right. Yeah.
spirulina is the blue-green algae, and we pack the jars in a blue bag to help people understand that, and we call it ENERGYbits because spirulina gives you energy. It gives you energy mentally, physically, and at the mitochondrial level. And how does it do that? It does it 2 ways. In the short term, what it does, because spirulina is a bacteria, it does not have a cellulose wall, so there's nothing for your body to break down to get access to anything. If you chew it, it's absorbed sublingually, which means through your mouth, and it gets into your bloodstream literally in seconds. So all the nourishment gets into your body. This is quite different from supplements, which are very often damaging your stomach gut lining, and they're acidic. Algae is the most alkaline food in the world, and they're usually made from artificial ingredients, which your body can't recognize, so you only absorb a few of them. But with spirulina, all the nutrition gets in there, loaded with 18 of the 20 aminos, including the 9 your body can't make, and loaded with B vitamins, which convert the aminos into glucose, which convert it into energy. So the kind of energy you get is not like a crazy roller coaster, like supplement, like a stimulant, like coffee or sugar. The best way to describe it is you just feel fresh. Nothing more there's more dramatic than that. It's algae is no drama. So you just feel alert. You feel fresh and ready for the day. How fantastic is that? And it never goes away. So, but you do need at least 10 to feel that way. 20 or 30 is even better. And it satisfies your hunger. So there's 1 calorie per tablet. They're about the size of a baby aspirin. You could have 30. We have them in little pouches of 30. You could have 30 for lunch. That'd be 30 calories, highest protein in the world, 3 times more protein than steak, chicken, or fish, 40 vitamins and minerals. You wouldn't be hungry for hours. Now, you're gonna feel stuffed like you had a big, spaghetti dinner or something, but you won't be hungry. And if you are on a weight loss program or if you are taking a GLP-1, please do yourself a favor and take this every day, at least the 30. Because if you are not eating, your cells are not being nourished. It's only a matter of time before you have a health issue. It's that simple. I don't know how else to describe it. Plus, we can prevent your muscle wasting because this has got so much protein. By the way, there's way more protein needs in your body than just muscles. There's over 1,000 proteins in your body. We're going to talk about the mitochondria in a minute. And the things that generate the actual energy in the mitochondria, it's called the electron transport chain, they're proteins. And you have millions of mitochondria. So you have millions of proteins. So you need a lot of protein to keep you going. And so spirulina gives you that energy mentally, physically, instantly. And then because the blue pigment speeds up the electron transport chain so that it generates more energy, you get long term more energy. And the best thing of all is your brain has the most mitochondria. We'll talk about this in a minute. It has 2 million mitochondria per neurotransmitter. So the first thing that happens is that your brain wakes up. Classic symptom of menopause and as you get into 40s and 50s is you get this brain fog and you get that mental fatigue. It goes away naturally from the spirulina. So I call spirulina brain food. So
And
energizing, nourishing, satisfies your hunger, gets you the protein, and make sure your focus is on point. Very
so
much a brain food.
spirulina, think energy. energy for the cells, energy for the mitochondria. So we can break it down kind of easy.
Yes, and
Spirulina
energy
energy.
for your brain for sure.
Okay.
Now,
And now, well, yeah.
Chlorella will not give you energy. It's a
Really?
wellness detoxing algae. It's a green algae, which is I designed the bag in green, and it does belong to the plant kingdom. Spirulina is a bacteria. So there's a leaf on on the package. Why
Yeah.
is this so detoxing and it builds your immune system? Well, it does it a few ways. That fiber that's on chlorella, the cell wall, is the hardest cellulose wall in the plant kingdom. It attaches to toxins, everything, heavy metals, lead, mercury, radiation, glyphosate, pesticides, alcohol, lactic acid, and chelates them. So it pulls them out. So that's one way that chlorella removes toxins. It also has the highest glutathione in the world, which is very, very important antioxidant for your liver. Your liver is like your water cleaning plant. It gets rid of all the toxins that it needs glutathione. And glutathione is also called the master antioxidant because it can regenerate other antioxidants. So chlorella does that too. The fiber that's in the chlorella feeds your gut biome. You have healthy bacteria in your gut biome and they need fiber. So chlorella does that. Chlorella also has the highest chlorophyll in the world. It's called chlorella because of the chlorophyll, chlorella, right? So it has 25 times more chlorophyll than liquid chlorophyll. So when you get liquid chlorophyll, that's good, but you're only getting chlorophyll. When you take chlorella, you're getting 25 times more chlorophyll, plus you're getting 40 vitamins and minerals, plus 60% protein, plus fiber. So you want to level up and take chlorella. Chlorophyll is good, but it's just the warm up back. Chlorella is where the action is. Now, the other thing that you need to know is that when you have toxins in your body gets rid of them in four ways. They're called four pathways. One is through sweat, one is through breath, one is through urine, and the fourth one is bowel movements. I'm going to talk about bowel movements because they're absolutely essential for your health. What do you think is sitting down there in your colon? I call it the junk in your trunk. It's stuff that your body didn't want, toxins and other garbage. Well, if you're not getting rid of those on a daily basis, it's like having a garbage truck parked in front of your house permanently. And that gets pretty smelly. So we need to get those bowel movements going. And lots of people, you just go into a pharmacy and you see there's so many people having problems with constipation because there's rows and rows and rows of all this stuff, fiber. Don't take that. Take chlorella because it's very natural. It stimulates peristalsis. And generally, we recommend chlorella at night, spirulina in the morning, because in the morning you're hungry and tired and you want energy and focus. And chlorella, when you're sleeping, that's when your body goes through a detox repair cycle. That's when your body wants to prepare for a bowel movement. I have another little tip on the bowel movements. It has nothing to do with algae. Fresh pineapple. Ladies and gentlemen, bromelain in fresh pineapple is a miracle for digestion and elimination, and it tastes delicious. It's not even high in sugar. So pair bromelain pineapple with chlorella, or if you want to go even deeper into the sort of holistic health routine, coffee enemas, which is what they use at the Gershon Institute, are also very powerful. But of the three, the pineapple and the chlorella are probably the easiest. Now, chlorella also has the highest tryptophan in the world. What's tryptophan? Well, it's a precursor to something called melatonin, which I'm sure most people know helps you sleep. But as you get older, you have less melatonin. So the chlorella also helps you get into that deeper sleep. And it's also a precursor to a neurotransmitter called serotonin, which is known as your happy mood neurotransmitter. Now, 80% of your serotonin is used and made and used in your gut. It affects your brain, but it's used in your gut. So all these things, as you can see, the elimination, the killing of the bacteria, the fiber, it's all focused on your gut. Chlorella is a gut health algae. Spirulina
Mhm.
is a brain health algae because it gives you focus. It heals your mitochondria, and there's so many mitochondria in your brain. So the two of them work beautifully together. They complement one another, and they you take them at different times. Spirulina in the morning because that's when you're tired and hungry and want focus and energy. Chlorella, you can take it any time of day, but definitely before bed. In both cases, 10 tablets would be your starter dose, but for Chlorella detox, you do need closer to the 20 or 30, or it won't attach to the toxins. So you can
Okay.
see how they work at different times of day, they do different things, but they're really your power couple, and I don't know how I could live without them. I take them all day long. I snack on them in the morning. I put sea salt on them. As you mentioned earlier, you can put them in a smoothie, mix them with trail mix. If you drop any on the floor and you have any pets, your pets will love them.
My goodness, I was gonna ask you that. Is it one my cats, my Sphinx cats, they think they, like, hunt in our house for, like, food and packages, like, we have to, like, hide, like, everything. But here's the thing, because they if they're eating it, then it's probably good for you, because they won't
Yes,
eat, like, ultra processed food. So they got into it, and I couldn't figure out which cat, because we have a couple of cats. We have a lot of cats. But I was like, I was gonna ask you, like, I was like, "I have to ask Catherine if that's okay," and none of them died. Maybe they had more energy, right? But so, I mean, should we give these to our pets? Like,
absolutely. We'll
that's so
eventually get into
cool.
the veterinarian marketplace.
Okay.
I have a
But I was
friend,
like I was like, "Oh,
calico.
no," like, they chomp them down, you know those little, like, sample packs, like, broke into a few of those, and I was like, "Oh, no." So beware if you have curious pets, they're gonna eat your energy bits.
Don't leave them on the countertop. That doesn't matter whether it's a lap dog, a regular dog, a cat, they will leap up to that counter and
My
they
goodness.
will rip that thing. I have a funny story. A customer wrote us, they went camping and they, in the middle of in the Appalachians, and in the middle of the even at night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, a bear broke into their campground. And so everybody scrambled and they came back about 2 hours later. The baggie that had all the supplements had been ripped open, but all the supplements were still there. Their bag of ENERGYbits Spirulina tablets had been ripped open and licked clean. Not a single tablet
How
remained.
funny.
So even the bears, and I've had people send me pictures of their pet raccoons, their cats, their dogs. The animals are smarter than we are, and
Yeah,
they know this stuff
I
is
know.
really good for them. So,
Yeah, they
but
really
try to take it every day because it really is a foundational food. Whether you're eating eggs or meat or any meals, it's really a mini meal, and it's so handy when you're traveling. But try to get into the habit. I take them every single morning. I have them at my office. Our canisters come with little tins inside. We have these fun canisters, and they come with a travel tin, so you can fill up the tin and put it in your handbag or your gym bag. It's unbelievable. That's the difference between the two algae. Spirulina, very energizing, nourishing, and mitochondrial health, which is why we called it energy bits. And then chlorella, which is very detoxing and immune building, which is it helps you recover from your day. So we called it
Yeah.
recovery bits.
And I like that, and the recovery bits with the chlorella. I like that because we do have just toxic burden, like, every day, attacking us, and as we age, we become less resilient. So midlife, perimenopause, menopause, we probably should be having some recovery bits and incorporating them into our life. Things like cadmium, and other heavy metals, like, they can affect our cancer risk for breast cancer. So really we do need to make sure we are, paying attention to the heavy metals, the environmental toxins. Another thing that comes up when you look at chlorella, for example, is how it's processed. So because you have to break the cell wall, and many
Yes.
companies, they do this in a way that could be, with chemicals, but also in a way that it's not the algae isn't going to be retaining its nutrients. So you're taking something and you think you're doing good, but it's not as nutrient dense.
Well, and that's a really good point. And spirulina does not have to be cracked because it does not have a cellulose wall. Chlorella has that hard cell wall. But even worse than that is, as I mentioned earlier, 99% of the algae, spirulina, chlorella tablets that are sold in America, because they've been sold here for 60 years. It's like I'm not doing anything new. What's new is that I'm providing a high quality version of it because all of the other companies, they're lower price, they have to sell more to stay alive, so they cut corners, typical, right? Companies cut corners, and one of the corners they cut is they use high heat to dry the algae. What does that do? It deactivates critical nutrients and pigments. This is why I'm not a big fan of powders because they have to use high heat to mix the powders, or most supplements, they use high heat to mix the supplement. And so it deactivates it. You're back to that buying a car with no engine. It doesn't work. It looks great, doesn't perform. We've never used high heat on our algae. We grow ours in Taiwan, which is the gold standard for algae. My plan is to hopefully start some agricultural farms here in America, probably in Florida where I live. It's a very similar climate, but it's going to be that's a very expensive proposition. So for now, we have companies that have been doing this for 60 years. They do it just for us, and in fact, I'm going over there in about 6 weeks to take some film footage and make sure everything's going according to plan. But it really protects you, the user, because you're getting full value and all the nutrition that you deserve. Because the other cheaper stuff, you'd have to get 10 times more to get the same benefits, and you still wouldn't get the same benefits because they're deactivated. If the enzyme's dead, it's dead. It's just never going to come back. And there's a very, very important enzyme, and we'll swing over it for just a minute or two to mitochondria. And particularly, this is very important for women as you get into perimenopause and menopause, because as we get older, our bodies they change. That's just the way it is. And one of the things and so some things that our bodies were making for us, they slow down in the production. They slow down in the production of melatonin. They slow down in the production of estrogen until there's none. And they also slow down the production of a very important antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. I know it's a long word, but what it does, when you create energy in the mitochondria, it's through a process. It's sort of like a relay race. You've all seen relay race where you have a runner and they pass a baton to the next runner, and then that runner passes the baton and they try to cross the finish line. Well, in your mitochondria, something similar happens, except instead of a runner, you have these proteins, and instead of a baton, they pass electrons. Now, to make that all work properly, you have to have a healthy mitochondria. But even when it's working properly, byproducts of all this energy called ATP are free radicals. I'm sure you've heard of a free radical, but if not, let me remind you, it's a molecule with an unpaired electron. And so nature strives for balance. And so if you have an unpaired electron, it will steal an electron from a neighboring molecule and cause tissue damage. Now that one's unbalanced. So it will steal an electron from somebody else. And so this is what causes disease. The good news is there's these knights in shining armor called antioxidants. And they have extra electrons, sort of like the kid who came to school with extra lunches to give to all his friends. So normally antioxidants would neutralize free radicals. But in the mitochondria, your mitochondria have a second inner membrane, and it's left over from when it was living by itself. Anyways, most antioxidants can't get in there. They just can't penetrate that inner membrane. And the most damaging free radical in the mitochondria is called superoxide. Fortunately, your body makes an antioxidant that can get in there called superoxide dismutase. Dismutase means to demute, to reduce. So that's what it does. It's an antioxidant that reduces the free radicals and converts them into harmless water and oxygen. Ta-da! Mitochondria are saved. Here's the catch. Once you hit 40, your body slows down the production of that, and even more when you hit 50. Think of this stuff called superoxide dismutase like a big golf umbrella. If you get caught in a rainstorm, whether you're golfing or shopping, and you have one of those golf umbrellas, you don't stop the rain, but you stop getting wet. Superoxide dismutase is the same way. It does not stop the free radicals, but it stops the damage to the mitochondria. But after 40 or 50, you have less of it. So now your mitochondria are getting damaged and dying. And when you have fewer mitochondria, you have less cellular energy. You have more brain fog. You have more fatigue. You have more sleep issue. Everything deteriorates when you have fewer mitochondria. But I have a happy ending. This stuff called superoxide dismutase is found in the highest concentration in Spirulina algae. However, it's an enzyme. So all those cheaper companies that are selling it at lower price and using high heat to dry their algae, deactivate it. So
Mm.
it's not working. period. So you can take as much as you want, but it won't work. So, but ours does. So, and you can also get fresh or frozen spirulina, and it will also have this active superoxide dismutase. So, when you take ours, it starts feeding back the mitochondria, their Gulf umbrella. So now your mitochondria aren't getting damaged. They can start growing back. You can start getting more energy. The mitochondria are like the lights in a building. Power shortage or your light bulbs go out, you can't do any work. And in your body, if your mitochondria get damaged or die, it's like having the lights go out in your building, in your brain, in your body, everywhere. So spirulina, because it has this superoxide dismutase and other nutrients, turn your lights back on. It's almost as simple as that. So it's very much a mitochondria healing algae.
Yeah. And, mitochondria, like you said, the brain, so many women, they hit 40s and 50s and they're like, oh, I can't concentrate. And, now everyone is just like, well, it's a hormone problem. We have to replace the hormones, hormone, hormone, hormone. And it's like, it's not just that. Like I work on the basics with everyone in gut health. And yes, we work on mitochondrial health. Like, now I'm worried that everyone is just rushing to hormones and there's going to be side effects from that because we're not fixing the root cause.
Right.
Yes, hormones need to be balanced, but we also need to work on mitochondrial health and stress and sleep and detoxification, so, and using food as medicine. So I think like I love that everyone's talking about hormones right now, but the answer is not another script, another prescription, another supplement. And like you said, we could have handfuls and handfuls of supplements, but we need to start going back to the basics and things that God put algae on this earth and it's there for us. But I love the integrity of your company. And I know you too, and I've met you and you're hands on. You are like the most hands on CEO I've ever seen, I think, of a company. Yeah. Because it has to be done right. And being in like the wellness world for so long, in a decade, in integrative medicine and going to conferences, like, you know, finding a company that doesn't cut corners because their product it working and being what it says it is very important. So I really appreciate that with
Thank you.
you. So I mean, your mission for Energy Bits, like where do you see your company, your brand, this mission in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I want to build algae. I want to build algae into an agricultural crop here in America. It needs to be here. Why should the Asians? 99.9% of algae is grown in Asia. Why should they have all the benefits? So that's number one for me. I'm writing my book. I've launched my own podcast. The book is called, working title is Love Your Health to Bits with Algae. I walk through, help people understand why we're sick, the combination of no nutrition and too many toxins, what algae is, and then I address specific health issues to show people why specific nutrients found in algae will address your health issue. And I've come up with a genre for the book that I don't think anyone else is doing. I call it science with sarcasm, because here's the thing: there's so much science, Dr. Jen. There's so like thousands, millions of papers, and we hold a lot of the medical community in awe and on a pedestal. But that knowledge should be shared with the rest of us. And I had to teach myself that, because once you understand how your body works, makes it much easier. It's less frightening, number one. And then you start to understand what you actually need. You get a owner's manual. So in
Yeah.
my book and my approach is like, I'm trying to help people understand science doesn't have to be scary, or it is complicated, but I can make it easy for people so they can have agency and start making better choices for themselves. And it will always come down to the simple things from nature, always for me, whether it's sleep or movement or sun or water or whole foods. That's it. You know, we do need help occasionally, and I completely get that. But for the vast majority, once you understand how your body works, but nobody's telling you. I say I don't cook very much. So when I cook, I need a recipe, and I need to go and get all my ingredients. And when I get all my ingredients and I follow the recipe, I could do pretty good. So I want to give people the recipe for wellness, because at any age, remember, Aging is natural, declining is not, but we've somehow decided it is. And I want to flip that script and provide people some role models and some examples because it shouldn't be complicated. It shouldn't be expensive. You know that the vast majority of bankruptcies are due to people having a health crisis and they can't pay their medical bills. I mean, it's frightening that people are one paycheck away from possibly going bankrupt if they have a health issue. We need
Right.
to correct the health issue.
Yes. Yeah, and it does start when you're young, you know? Like, I tell my patients, I'm like, in their 40s, like, we're working on your health in your 80s right now. We have to start as young as we can. And yeah, I feel very passionate about this as a doctor. And doctor comes from the Latin word docere, which means to teach. And my job is to teach my patients. Like you said, like there's no secret. Like we want people to do better so they don't end up with disease. And disease is not it's not good. So I love that you have such a passion and you can just tell by how you talk about algae and
Let me
it's
look.
good stuff. I love it. So I'm so grateful to have you here. And I want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Oh, and
Okay.
can I tell people where to find the product if they want to buy
Yeah,
some?
we can do that
You can do
first.
that
Yeah.
first. Yeah. Okay. And you can learn, just come to the website to learn. We have a blog, but our website is energybits.com, ENERGYBITS. We're also very active on Instagram, which the handle is EnergyBits. And we have a 20% discount code, Dr. Jen,
Okay,
no
great.
dot, no space, for 20% off anything. It doesn't matter whether it's the bags, the canisters, the single pouches, and it's best value. And by the way, if you buy the bags of the best value and you use Dr. Jen as your discount, and if you took 10 tablets a day, a bag will last you 3 months and it will cost you a dollar a day. So very affordable. Anyways, come and visit us at energybits.com and use your discount code, Dr. Jen, and you'll start to see what I'm talking about with your health and improving everything.
Yeah, I love that. So just try both out, try one out and just kind of gauge your energy and how you feel. And it's really great when we have products that we can add in easy and throughout the day. And
Yes.
yeah, like use it as a snack, use it while you're fasting. So it's great. So Catherine, thank you so much. And everyone head there. We'll link all the links below and let's do some rapid fire with you. What is your favorite biohack that actually works? I think I know your answer to this question.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to defer to algae. It's a great biohack on its own, and it also up levels all other biohacks, whether it's cold plunge, saunas, red light. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, love it. Now, if you weren't CEO of Energy Bits, what would you be doing, do you think?
Well, people will be stunned to find out that my previous career actually I was in international business, but the one I really loved was interior design. I was the publisher of an interior design magazine. I absolutely love design. So I love making things beautiful. Doesn't matter whether it's a room or a package or an outfit. So probably
Yes. I could see that. I thought you were gonna say something like fashion design or something because your outfits
yeah.
are always on point. So that totally makes sense. That doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah. What is your favorite part of your morning routine?
I get up, I try to get 6, sometimes earlier, and I start with fresh water and fresh squeezed, lemon, and then I drink a tea called yerba mate, and I have my algae tablets, and I now live in Florida, so I sit outside and listen to the birds and just do about half an hour or an hour meditation. It's so peaceful, and it just makes me so happy. So the tea, the meditating, and the birds, it's the magic
Mhm.
combination for me. By the way, they found that the vibration of birds is similar to the Earth's vibration, and there's healing properties in the bird vibration, then they've proven it. So I have always loved listening to birds.
If you can eliminate one toxin from the world tomorrow, what would it be?
Glyphosate.
Yes, I'm with you on that one. What is your favorite book or scripture to lean on in tough seasons?
I am a big fan of a book called A Course in Miracles. I've read it probably 3 times. I now get the recordings. It's tough reading, very powerful spiritually, and you can get it on Amazon for $18. So, it's not nutrition, but it's food for the soul.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just one word to leave us with for our listeners to take with them in the week.
Wow. That's how I
Why is
want you to feel. That's how I want your life to be. Yeah, wow. Works for me.
love it. I thought you were gonna say algae.
Algae is my wow.
Yes, yes, exactly. Wow, and algae. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear feedback from listeners. If you try Energy Bits, drop a comment and let us know how you felt and share this episode with family, friends that would benefit, which would be everyone.
Yeah. Pets too. They can't
Yes.
read.
Well, if they steal them, yeah. So pets and family. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jen, and thank you, everybody. We can do this, so keep going.